The unassuming quarter, perhaps the most overlooked denomination in American pockets. While most quarters are worth exactly 25 cents, some hiding in plain sight command thousands or even tens of thousands of dollars. I'm holding 5 quarters that collectively could purchase a luxury car. Each coin represents a perfect storm of minting errors, low production numbers, or exceptional preservation that transformed ordinary currency into numismatic treasure. Let's examine these extraordinary quarters you might actually own. Our first treasure is the 1993 Washington quarter with the so-called double die obverse, a coin that slipped through quality control at the Philadelphia Mint with a dramatic error visible to the naked eye. This mistake occurred during the die hubbing process when the die received a second impression slightly offset from the first, creating a ghost-like doubling effect most noticeable in the lettering of Liberty and the date. The 1993 DDO quarter emerged during a time when the U.S. Mint was operating at exceptional production speeds to meet commerce demands. Coin experts believe only about 15,000 of these error coins entered circulation before the flawed die was discovered and removed, a tiny fraction of the over 600 million quarters produced that year. What makes this particularly fascinating is that unlike many rare coins that were immediately recognized as valuable, these quarters entered everyday circulation with no fanfare. When examining a potential 1993 DDO quarter, focus on Washington's face, particularly the lips and chin, where doubling is often most pronounced. Under magnification, you'll notice what appears to be a shadow or echo of the design elements. The date shows clear doubling in the 9s, and the word Liberty exhibits noticeable doubling in several letters. This isn't the subtle doubling sometimes caused by die fatigue. It's pronounced and unmistakable to trained eyes. On the market, these quarters have seen remarkable appreciation. In circulated condition, a 1993 DDO quarter typically commands $80 to $150, depending on where. However, in uncirculated condition, prices escalate dramatically. A gem mint state example graded MS 65 can fetch $1,500 to $2,000, while premium examples graded MS 67 have sold at auction for over $7,500. One particularly exceptional specimen, graded MS 68, sold for $10,350 at a heritage auction in 2019, an astonishing return for a coin with a face value of 25 cents. What many collectors find intriguing about this error is how it occurred during modern minting processes supposedly designed to eliminate such mistakes. The Philadelphia Mint had implemented multiple quality control measures by the 1990s, making major errors increasingly rare. The 1993 DDO quarter represents one of the last significant double die errors to reach circulation in substantial numbers before digital minting technology essentially eliminated this type of mistake. The value varies tremendously based on condition. A worn example showing clear signs of circulation might bring $100, while a nearly perfect specimen with full mint luster and minimal contact marks could command 20 to 50 times that amount. When evaluating your own specimens, pay particular attention to Washington's hairlines and the fields around the portrait, as these high points show where first and significantly impact valuation. Even if you find a 1993 quarter with doubling, certification from PCGS or NGC is essential for establishing authenticity, as many coins exhibit machine doubling or other effects that can be confused with true double die errors. Moving to 1968, we encounter an extraordinary transitional period in American coinage. The 1968 Washington quarter holds particular significance as the first year the U.S. Mint produced copper-nickel-clad quarters after abandoning silver composition. This transition created unique opportunities for errors that savvy collectors now prize. Most valuable among 1968 quarters are those struck on leftover silver planchets from the previous era. During the changeover from silver to copper-nickel composition, a small number of silver planchets remained in the production line. These were inadvertently struck with 1968 dies, creating what numismatists call transitional errors, quarters that shouldn't exist according to official mint specifications. These wrong metal errors are identifiable through several methods. The most obvious is weight. A standard copper-nickel quarter weighs 5.67 grams. while a silver quarter weighs approximately 6.25 grams. The edge reveals another telltale sign. Silver quarters display a solid silver edge without the copper core visible in regular clad quarters. Additionally, genuine silver 1968 quarters produce no magnetic attraction, unlike their copper-nickel counterparts, which exhibit slight magnetic properties due to their nickel content. The market value of a 1968 silver quarter error is staggering compared to its face value. Even in circulated condition, these rarities command $7,000 to $10,000. In mint state, prices escalate dramatically. A certified MS 63 example sold at auction in 2021 for $26,400. The highest recorded sale was an MS 65 specimen that changed hands for $31,200 at a specialized error coin auction. With fewer than 25 authenticated examples known to exist, each discovery represents a significant numismatic event. These coins tell a fascinating story about the chaotic period of America's transition away from silver coinage. By 1968, silver prices were rising, making the metal content of quarters worth more than their face value, which prompted the composition change. The Treasury Department was simultaneously managing the removal of silver certificates from circulation and dealing with nationwide coin shortages. Amid this turmoil, quality control sometimes faltered, allowing these remarkable errors to escape into circulation. Condition assessment is particularly crucial with 1968 silver quarter errors. Since authenticity verification requires weighing and metal testing, coins submitted for certification often show handling marks from these examinations. The most valuable examples are those that remained untouched in collections shortly after entering circulation. Pay special attention to luster and strike quality. The silver planchets often received sharper strikes than their copper-nickel counterparts, creating unusually bold design details that can help identify potential specimens. If you suspect you have one, professional authentication is absolutely essential, as sophisticated counterfeits have appeared as values increased. The 1980 Washington quarter conceals what might be the most visually dramatic error in modern American coinage: the 1980 quarter on a 1941 Canada quarter. This extraordinary minting anomaly occurred when a 1941 Canadian quarter somehow made its way into the feed system at the Philadelphia Mint and received a full strike from the 1980 quarter dies. What makes this error particularly remarkable is that it represents a dual-nation, dual-era hybrid. The underlying host coin, a 1941 Canadian quarter, was struck in 80% silver during World War II, bearing the profile of King George VI. Decades later, this foreign coin inexplicably entered the U.S. Mint's production line, where it received a complete overstrike with the Washington quarter design. The result is a numismatic chimera showing elements of both designs in a spectacular meld of currencies. When examining these coins, the evidence of the original Canadian quarter is unmistakable. Traces of King George's profile can be seen ghosting through Washington's face, creating an almost holographic effect where the two profiles overlap. The Canadian maple leaf design elements remain partially visible beneath the American eagle. Most tellingly, the edge retains the characteristic reading pattern of Canadian coinage, which differs slightly from American specifications. The coin also weighs approximately 5.8 grams, consistent with Canadian silver quarter composition and noticeably different from the standard 5.67 grams of a copper-nickel U.S. quarter. This wrong planchet error represents an extreme valuation anomaly. While most 1980 quarters are worth only face value, this specific error variant sold for $8,625 at a heritage auction in 2017. Another example, showing slightly less dramatic design blending, commanded $6,900 at a specialized error coin sale in 2019. Numismatists estimate fewer than 15 examples exist, with most likely destroyed during the minting process when detected by quality control. How could such an error occur? The leading theory involves mint employees in the 1970s commonly using Canadian coins to calibrate striking pressure on presses, as Canadian coins had similar specifications but wouldn't be confused with U.S. production coins. Occasionally, these test pieces weren't properly removed from machinery before production resumed. Another possibility involves the coin recycling programs of the era, when foreign coins were sometimes mixed with domestic currency in unsorted bulk deliveries to the mint. The value variation in these era coins stems primarily from how clearly both designs are visible. The most valuable examples show near-perfect centering of both strikes and clear identification elements from both coins. Those with less defined Canadian undertype features command lower premiums, though still substantial. Even examples with only faint visible traces of the Canadian undertype can sell for $3,000 to $5,000 if properly authenticated. Authentication is particularly critical with these overstrike errors, as sophisticated forgers have attempted to replicate them using chemical treatments and artificial pressure techniques. Professional certification through PCGS or NGC is considered essential, with these services employing metallurgical analysis to confirm the coin's genuine silver content and microscopic examination of strike characteristics. The most valuable specimens remain those discovered shortly after entering circulation and preserved without cleaning or other amateur restoration attempts. The 1988 Washington quarter contains a perplexing error that numismatists call the 1988 doubled reverse, a distinct variety characterized by unusual doubling on the reverse eagle design. This error originated during a transitional period at the Philadelphia Mint when equipment modernization led to inconsistent die preparation procedures, resulting in hub doubling that transferred to the production dies. What distinguishes the 1988 doubled reverse quarter is its pattern of doubling, which appears most prominently in the eagle's right wing, viewer's left, tail feathers, and the lettering of United States of America. Particularly telling is how the doubling shows clear separation in the arrow feathers and olive branch details. Unlike many doubled dies that display doubling in a single direction, this variety shows a pivoting doubling pattern, as if the design elements were rotated slightly between impressions during the hubbing process. Numismatic researchers estimate approximately 15,000 to 20,000 of these error coins entered circulation before quality control identified the flaw. Despite this relatively higher population compared to some other error coins, the 1988 doubled reverse quarter remains elusive, with many examples undoubtedly sitting unrecognized in collections or circulation. The error wasn't widely publicized until the mid-1990s, when advanced collectors began systematic variety hunting through mint sets and bank rolls. Market values reflect this coin's unusual status as both rare and overlooked. In circulated condition, authenticated examples typically command $150 to $350, depending on where. Uncirculated specimens in MS 63 condition regularly bring $500 to $650, while gem quality examples graded MS 65 or higher can reach $1,800 to $2,500. A superb MS 67 example established the current auction record at $4,700 in 2018, modest compared to some error coins, but representing significant potential for growth as more collectors pursue complete Washington quarter variety sets. The 1988 doubled reverse quarter acquired additional historical significance when the U.S. Mint studied examples during the development of modern digital minting technology. The specific die failure that created this error helped engineers design computerized die inspection systems now used to identify microscopic flaws before production begins. This technological response to the error contributes to its importance in numismatic history, representing one of the last major double die varieties produced before modern quality control measures virtually eliminated such errors. Value assessment for these quarters depends primarily on the clarity of the doubling effect. Since the doubling appears on the reverse rather than the more commonly examined obverse, many examples have gone undetected even by experienced collectors. When evaluating potential specimens, use magnification of at least 10x power to examine the eagle's right wing feather details where the separation should be most pronounced. The lettering of quarter dollar also shows characteristic doubling, particularly in the Q and R letters. Specimens showing the most dramatic separation command premium prices, while examples with more subtle doubling still hold significant value if properly authenticated. Authentication challenges for this variety center on distinguishing true hub doubling from similar appearing mechanical doubling or die deterioration. Professional grading services examine the flow patterns in the metal to differentiate between doubled hub impressions, which show natural metal flow, and mechanical shelf doubling, which shows distorted metal flow. This technical distinction significantly impacts value. A mechanically doubled 1988 quarter typically commands no premium, while a true double die reverse represents a valuable collectible. The 1969 Washington quarter with a double die obverse stands as perhaps the most legendary modern quarter error, a coin so rare and valuable that its discovery story reads like numismatic folklore. This dramatic double die error occurred at the San Francisco Mint when the obverse die received multiple impressions during the hubbing process, with each impression slightly misaligned from the previous one. Unlike many mint errors that emerged in large batches, the 1969 double die quarter exists in extraordinarily limited numbers. Numismatic census data suggests fewer than 30 verified examples have been authenticated, with some experts believing the actual number may be even lower. This extreme rarity stems from the San Francisco Mint's rigorous quality control procedures, which caught most of these errors before they left the facility. The doubling on these quarters is immediately apparent even to untrained eyes, particularly in the lettering. The word Liberty shows dramatic separation, with what appears to be a complete second impression of each letter floating slightly offset from the primary strike. The date, 1969, exhibits similar pronounced doubling, with the 9s showing particular separation. Even Washington's portrait displays noticeable doubling in the hair details, eyelid, and lip area, far more dramatic than the machine doubling sometimes confused with true double die errors. The market values for authenticated 1969 double die quarters have reached legendary status among modern U.S. coins. In circulated condition, even heavily worn examples command $25,000 to $35,000. Uncirculated specimens start around $50,000 for lower mint state grades. The record price belongs to a superb MS 67 example that sold for a breathtaking $126,500 at a 2019 specialized auction, representing a return of over 500,000 times its face value. The discovery narrative adds another layer of intrigue to this coin's mystique. The first documented 1969 double die quarter wasn't recognized until 1975, nearly 6 years after production, when an astute collector found one in pocket change. After authentication, the numismatic community was alerted, triggering a nationwide search through bank rolls and collections. Each new discovery generated headlines in coin publications, cementing this quarter's reputation as the holy grail of modern Washington quarters. Given their extreme value, these quarters have unfortunately become targets for sophisticated counterfeiters. Some alter genuine 1969 quarters using mechanical means to simulate doubling, while others create dies from genuine coins with added doubling elements. Authentication complexity has increased accordingly. Major grading services now employ comparative microscopy, metal flow analysis, and die marker identification to verify genuine examples. This intensive authentication process adds approximately $150 to certification costs, but represents essential insurance when values reach 5 and 6 figures. Condition assessment for these quarters follows standard numismatic protocols, but with heightened scrutiny. Mint luster retention, strike quality, and surface preservation all significantly impact value. A difference of just 2 grade points, for example, MS 63 to MS 65, can represent a price differential of $20,000 or more. When examining potential specimens, pay particular attention to the field areas around the date and Liberty inscription, as these should show the same die characteristics and surface texture as the doubled portions. Inconsistencies here often reveal sophisticated alterations.